Chase Bryant joins us now from Corpus Christi, Texas. Chase, thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having
Good
me.
morning. Listen, listening to that story and you talking about it, it's just so emotional. At the time you went to that gas station, you were living your dream, as we like to say. You had this top song on Billboard charts. You're touring. Your name is out there. People are calling you the next big thing in country. And you were quoted as saying in an article I read, I was having success as somebody that I really wasn't. You were chasing success instead of happiness. That's a
Yeah.
big statement.
It's, suddenly success felt like a big mistake. I think the key to life is happiness, and I think finding happiness in everything you do is very, very important. For me, that sat on the back burner and far behind the back seat. And so it was a tough, miserable few years, but I thank God every day,
Yeah.
and especially this morning, driving in, watching the sun come up like I do every morning, coming in to get back into my career with a better head on my shoulders and having more fun than I've ever had, happily being myself.
I should point out you're on a stage because you're going to give us an exclusive live performance coming up. But I'm curious, speaking of on stage in those 2 years of darkness, there you were walking off stage to thousands of people cheering you on. But what did it feel like when you went backstage? Describe that level of depression. Is that the term? Is that what you were feeling after you'd walk off stage?
Well, it's funny because when you walk on stage, there's that adrenaline when everybody's shouting your name and everybody's, you're playing Staples Center in LA, or you're playing, up in New York City, whatever it may be. There's that feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm on top of the world. They love me. But as soon as you come off stage, you realize, do they really love me? Because they don't know me. So that was a pretty dark phase to go through, because I felt like I was being very inconsistent as to who I was growing up, who I am as a person, and who I am today.
Right.
It was a very miserable, when is this going to end?
I'm telling you the contrast, because I've looked at now performance video of you and images of you performing, and to think that this guy would walk off stage and spiral into this dark space. The contrast is what is so incredible. You talk about your childhood and how you were raised. Growing up, were there any signs that you had anxiety or that you were struggling younger in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from the time I was as young as I can remember, it was the anxiety and the sense of depression followed me, because I had a dream to do something bigger than the town that I grew up in. And my parents, my family were so supportive of me, and obviously I sought out help. We sought out help.
How early in life
as I
did
was-
y'all see, how early in life was help sought out for you?
Oh gosh, by the time I was probably in second or third grade.
Second or
I mean,
third grade. So that second or third grade, what were they treating you for?
Well, I think the depression, the anxiety of going to school and having, there was a bit of the separation anxiety, which I think a lot of kids feel,
Yeah, of course.
But for me, it was something deeper. I always felt like this is so funny. My mom tells me this all the time, but my favorite line growing up was, when I was older.
What do you think you
You know
meant
what I
by
mean?
that?
There was this old soul inside of me. Like I knew where I was going, and I knew what the days ahead. It was this very odd thing. I was well beyond my years from the time I was a child.
How were the parents and the people, because I zero in on that second and third grade, because as we've talked about mental health, we talk about men, we talk about mothers, and children, though, who start showing signs. When I was a kid, it was always, that kid is hyper, or, that kid is moody. But they saw this in you, the adults around you, that it was something troubling.
Yeah, I mean, in my hometown, it was very hard to fess up to the fact that there was something wrong, right? I mean, I had a brother who had stage 4 leukemia growing up, who's thank God alive today and for greatest friends. But there was a lot going on in that household, and it's nothing that my parents didn't do, because they did everything they could to try to figure out how can we help, how can we make things better. And when I was 15, 16 years old, I got my first offer for a record deal in Los Angeles. And it was like, if this is really what you want to do, and you really want to chase your dreams, and you can be faithful to that and still remain a good person, we're going to let you go do it.
Chase, take me to that day. I always wonder, when someone decides this is the day, this is the minute I'm going to give in to the thoughts in my head. What had happened that day?
Well, it had been a rough business day, to say the least. I mean, I do remember that. And I just kept feeling like nothing was connecting, the dots. I was throwing the stuff at the wall, but it wasn't sticking. I was trying to make things different than they were, and I was trying to figure out, how to make the success and myself the person I want everybody to know. How do I do that? And I just got to a point that I figured out I just couldn't. Yeah. So I thought, and I had it figured out. I knew.
I knew what?
I just knew that was the day it was over. I knew that was the day I wanted it to end.
So you were so certain. You wrote a note as well, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember what was in that note that you wrote?
Yeah, that was a conversation to my mother, my brother, my father, my niece, who would never get to really understand me, know me. I was taken away a lot by taking myself away from it. So, it was a long note that never was it never fulfilled its duty, and I'm thankful that it did.
Thinking about that note right now, I mean, I listened to you tell the story of pulling the trigger and not having that bullet, but hearing you talk about the note, I see more emotion in that part than any place else. Is that because you were talking about your family and you recognized that you were taking yourself from them?
Yeah, I mean, my dad and I to this day are still constantly best friends. I mean, we fight like cats and dogs, but we're best friends too.
Yeah.
That's the toughest. I grew up in such a fulfilling household. My parents did everything in their power, and my brother did too, to be the best family and the best of friends that they could possibly be. And I mean, you see these pictures. Yeah. I mean, you can see the joy that we share in this family.
Yeah, so they poured their love. Their love was clear, and your love for them. What is your treatment like now?
Control. It's in your hands. I mean, that's to me is honestly the most important part about the whole thing is waking up and getting in a regimen. What is that regimen? For me, I'm such a morning person. You would think I was 85 if you spent time with me, I promise. I'm serious. I still like to read the newspaper, and I drink way too much coffee. But, honestly, for me, it's getting up and just having time to reflect on the day before, not spending too much time on the past.
Yeah.
But just moving forward, letting things go.
Do you go to therapy?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time going. I haven't had a whole lot of time quite lately. I've been in the process of remodeling a house, so that is my therapy.
Oh, well, that's the thing, and I like you saying that because we have talked about on this show different ways, different things that are therapeutic. I meditate, and we had Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union on the other day. People have their different journey in addition to, if necessary, which I support, therapy or whatever, that journey is. Also, clearly, because you got that big old stage behind you, and I just saw them turn up the lights because you're going to perform live for us in a minute. Therapy for you is the music. You have this new album coming out this July, Upbringing. For you, this all traces back to upbringing. It traces back to your story. Now, when you walk off stage and you are looking yourself in the mirror, what do you see? Do you still see this duplicitous thing, the guy on stage versus the guy you wanted folks to know?
It's sort of scary. It's like, what do I do? You know what I mean? There's this kind of process that takes a minute because you're so used to being this character,
Yeah.
you know? But now it's just more like it's so relaxed. It's like, you know, get up there, kid, have fun, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody's here to watch you, so just get up there, and if you mess up, you mess
You're
up. But
accepting
have
it.
fun.
You're accepting the love. Even though people will come up to you and say, I love you so much, and we're blessed to be in professions where our fans get a chance to share the love. It is accepting and receiving it. And it sounds like you're ready to receive that love from friends as well as fans with you. And that's a part of why you're speaking out, right? You want people, this is not just about to tell the details of that night and what happened. You want to help other kids who were like you and other adults who are struggling.
Yeah, but you nailed it on the head. I mean, you're willing to accept that love now, right? That's a hard thing to really do. And for me, that's the biggest part, is accepting you're good enough the way you are.
Yeah.
You're great at who you are. I mean, you know, there's no other you. And accepting the help, accepting the love. I mean, that's the most important part.
Yeah.